So today is the day I changed my spark plugs in my 2003 Boxster. I did change it a couple days back, but the website that I bought it from, they sold me the wrong kind. And I mean, I know I should have known better, but I went ahead and got the OEM ones this time. So I am not very car savvy, so I wanted to make a little guide for those of you out there that are kind of like me and want to start doing your own maintenance. So sorry if I don't use the correct terms every now and again, but here we go. These are the tools that we'll be needing in order to perform this procedure. You're going to need a jack and some jack stands to remove the back two tires. We're going to need a torque wrench, most definitely, to tighten the spark plugs to the measurement that's supposed to be at. This is optional, it's just a socket wrench. I like using it because it's shorter than the torque wrench and it helps me get into places that I need to get. We will need about a 6-inch extension with I don't know what size this is, but it's less than 17 and it's greater than 13, I think. But the 6-inch extension is so we can get the spark plug out of its place. Going to need a 10mm socket as well. The extension is optional. And we'll be needing these spark plugs and ignition coils, obviously. Like I said before, I'm using the OEM one this time. Here's the item and model number. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Oh yeah, we'll need a 5mm Allen key as well. After you've removed the wheel, there is a side panel right here inside the wheel well. Towards the middle of the vehicle, as you can see towards the top, there are 2 bolts that we need to undo. This would make it a lot easier for us to get to that third spark plug, but however, oops, I'm tightening it, I'm not supposed to be tightening it. These don't tighten all the way. They get to the point to where it kind of just sets there comfortably, so you don't have to worry about it being too tight to undo, or you don't have to worry about it being over tightened later in the future. Once you get those 2 off, this panel comes out fairly easy. You kind of have to apply some downward pressure in order to get it out, because these 2 are a little bit of a pain. There we go. Oh, and this happened to me earlier. This tube right here in the back of the panel, sometimes it has sand in there, and when I pulled it out, I got sand all over my legs. So yeah, that's a heads up. Okay, so when we look inside, you can see the 3 spark plugs. There is 1, 2, and 3 in there. They are new, as you can see, because I replaced them last time, but we'll go through the procedures of changing them this time, since they're part of the procedure of changing your spark plugs anyway. This is a close-up of the ignition coil, and there are going to be 2 screws that are keeping it in place. This is where the 5mm Allen key or hex key comes in handy. You'll just have to undo that and pull out that cable, and the ignition coil will come right out. There is going to be a little trick about unplugging this cable right here from the ignition coil. As you can see, it normally comes with a rubber protector over it, and I just simply pulled it up on this side so you can see the plug easier. But towards the top of the plug, there is a little thing you can press down that'll release a latch, and it'll make a clicking sound. If I can get my arm in there, this rotor is in the way. Okay, so if you press this, as you can hear that click, the latch undid itself from the coil. That kind of sounded weird, undid itself from the coil, but after you push that up, you should be able to just pull straight up on the cable, and that'll release it from the coil, and the coil just comes right out if you give it a nice pull. And the inside, don't know if you can see it, but there's like a shiny metal thing in there. That is the spark plug that we need to get. I can't remember if I mentioned this earlier, but this is the coil that I used to replace my older ones. My older ones, they're starting to like crack all around it, and I was starting to get to the point where it's time to change for some new ones. This is the point where the 6-inch extension on the socket comes into play. There's about maybe 3 inches of, well, yeah, about 3 inches of extra extension, so you don't necessarily need a 6-inch, but it does help the longer it is. And we'll simply screw it out and screw the new spark plug in. So since the spark plugs lay horizontally in there, it is fairly easy to pull them out. You don't have to use any kind of magic or sorcery. It just comes right out. There are tools out there with a rubber thing inside the socket that'll help you pull it out. But if it doesn't come out, you can always just stick the ignition coil in there after you've unscrewed the spark plug, and it should just attach to it like so. Oh, if I can get that in. Like that, and just pull it straight out. Here we go. New spark plug goes inside this way with the thread facing the outside, and we will screw it in the way that we screwed the old one out. This is probably the most important part of the spark plug installation. I like to screw it in to where it's hand tight and I won't screw any further if I use my hands. And this is where you need the torque wrench. You absolutely need the torque wrench. The measurement you need to put it or set it to is 22 foot-pounds of torque. However, those of you out there who have an inch-pound torque wrench like I do, it's approximately 264 inch-pounds. But we'll go ahead and tighten it to that, and we will be done with spark plug number 1. I forgot to mention, Porsche did post a bulletin about using dielectric grease. They actually do not recommend it because it can act as an insulator and make the spark plug not function the way it's supposed to. So I will trust the words of the engineers and not do so. But if you really want to use dielectric grease, I mean, no one's really stopping you, so go ahead. Now that we have the new spark plug screwed in, we'll just reassemble it the same way that we disassembled it. Pro tip right here, I made this mistake earlier when I changed the other side, but the cable likes to dangle a little bit lower, so make sure that that is out of the way while you're shoving the ignition coil into its spot, or else you're going to have to undo it, and then it's going to be a pain in the ass, because well, assuming you don't have power tools that use the Allen key tip, it's going to be a pain in the ass. But if you do have power tools, then it shouldn't be too much of a bother. But the cable will click whenever you plug it back into place. Make sure you pull the rubber part back over to cover the cable, and then we'll go ahead and re-screw the ignition coil into place. I like to just screw it in with my hands until I can't any further, and then use the key, because using my fingers is hell of a lot quicker than getting like maybe half a turn every 20 seconds on the Allen key. I just got this second coil removed, and I did notice something. Quick tip for those of you out there who are just like me. The connector that plugs in, the connector that plugs right into this, it actually goes inside of it and plugs in. So when you're trying to disconnect it, it's a lot easier to hold on to the part that clicks and then pull it up from there. The entire time I thought this entire piece comes off because it was part of the connector, but I stand corrected. The connector actually rests inside of this piece. So yeah, pro tip to those of you out there. At this point, spark plug number 2 has been complete. This is the third one, and this is going to be the toughest one yet. Same thing on the other side, except on this side, however, there is a hose in the way. The other side, there is something similar to this. Just use your 10mm socket and you'd be able to unscrew it, as I did here. And I did not unscrew it all the way before I started filming, so if you could bear with me for just a second. Alright, so you can unscrew that and move it out of the way so you can get to the second screw bolt thing on the Allen key. one, but this hose will prove as your arch nemesis during this process. What I did the first time is I took the box that the ignition coil, the ignition coil came in, and stuffed it right here. So it pushes the hose up a little bit, and I'll have a better view to get to it. So if you could find something to put like right here to lift the hose up a little bit, that would help you tremendously. So once you get the two screws off with the Allen key, you'll see that it's a little bit more difficult to pull this coil out because of this hose in the way. What I found that you can do is pull the hose towards you and give the coil a little twist clockwise, and it'll come out fairly easy. So we can go ahead and change that last one and we'll be good to go on this side. Okay, so now that we completed the third and final spark plug replacement on this side, we can go ahead and put everything back together. Make sure we put the screw or nut or whatever that thing's called back into place to secure this piece right here. And let's grab our panel that we removed earlier and get this back on. There's a little slit right there, as you can see. The slit goes on top of this, and this side piece that comes out right here actually goes behind this part on the wheel well thing. That will help make it a lot easier, because the first time I did this, it took me a little bit because it kind of looked uneven. And the reason that it looked uneven is that I had this on the outside as opposed to on the inside like it's supposed to go. So after you get it into place, apply a little bit of downward pressure and pressure towards the left to get this one on. And then on this side, apply some downward pressure to get that into place. Might have to do a little bit of pulling here towards the bottom to get it nice and even and looking a lot better. So let's grab the plastic caps that we removed earlier and install them back into place. Now that we have the wheel put back on and the car lowered, we are good to go. The other side is very similar to this side, except it's a little bit more difficult in terms of how much space you have to maneuver around. The middle spark plug on the other side is the easiest thing you'll ever do. However, the left one and the right one are a little bit more tricky on this side. You just have to kind of maneuver around and see what you can do with it. I mean, I got it done with my tools here. My tools are like, what, Walmart tools pretty much. So if you guys have more advanced tools than I do, I'm pretty sure you can get it done. But if you do have a lift or a ramp, this makes this job a whole lot easier. It took me about 2 or 3 hours to get both sides done. The very first time I did it, which was about maybe 3 days ago, it took me about 4 hours on this side and 3 hours on the opposite side. But once you get it down, it's very easy to do, and you don't have to worry about it for another, what, 30,000 miles, as long as nothing happens to it. The last thing to do is to take it on a test drive, make sure nothing is wrong. When I had those spark plugs put in, those are the wrong spark plugs, this car was misfiring like crazy. It wasn't even fun. I made it about maybe to that fire hydrant before I gave up and came back inside. But hopefully that doesn't happen. But I will take you guys with me on that test drive. Otherwise, thank you guys for watching. I hope the guide did help you a little bit. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I might be able to help you. But keep in mind, I am a beginner at this, and I just go off of other videos that I watch. I just make this guide just so beginners like me kind of have an understanding of what they're getting themselves into after they jack the car up. Well, we will see you guys next time then. Or I will see you guys next time. I don't know why I talk to myself as if I'm two people. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time.